Hello, my name is Caitlin Flowers. I am a counselor at the Crisis Center of Anderson and Cherokee counties. I work primarily with women and children who have experienced either um, physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. I graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University, and I completed the master's program in counseling in August of 2020. I have since made it a goal to create a safe place for individuals to come and share their story and then gain the skills that they need to take the next small step forward, whatever that may look like for them. I am so excited to be talking about self-care and to share some information with you about why it is so important for us. I will be answering questions about, what is self-care, why it is important, and how we can implement it into our daily lives. I'm super excited to talk about a topic that is so crucial to our mental health and well-being, but I find it even more important to talk about it right now due to the current events that we as a nation are facing, and that is causing an increase in stress for us. And it's important to begin by talking about stress and the role that it plays in our lives and on our bodies. Stress is one way that our bodies respond to the day-to-day demands that we face every day. A little bit of stress keeps us in check and keeps us productive and motivated. However, too much stress can result in serious either physical, emotional, or behavioral symptoms. When the demands that we face begin to take a toll on us, we not only feel it physically, and that's when we become ill or sick, but we may also begin to see a negative impact on our mental health. And this may look like anxiety or depression. We may experience anger outbursts. This may look like substance abuse or even stress or exhaustion. It's so normal for us to have our to-do list filled and our brains racked with 1,000 things that we have to get done or achieved for the day. We are constantly rushing and going, trying to meet that next deadline. And we not only have to meet those needs and deadlines for ourselves, but we have to meet them for our children, our spouses, our pets, our bosses, our coworkers, our friends. That list goes on and on and on. And those demands leave us feeling stressed and with no time for self-care. And that's when we begin to experience those physical and emotional symptoms, and it can be a vicious cycle. But that's where self-care comes in, and that's why I'm so excited to talk with you about this topic today. But it's not only important that we know what activities we can implement for self-care, or what activities fall into the category of self-care, but it's important that we know why we should prioritize it and what effects it has if we don't prioritize it, and the effects that it has on our body. Before talking about the specifics of self-care, I want to share with you an analogy by Sarah Alexander that accurately demonstrates the importance of implementing self-care into our lives. So I want you to imagine that you're on an airplane, something that none of us have experienced in a while due to coronavirus, but you can imagine with me that you're on an airplane and the flight attendants are giving their pre-flight safety instructions. And one of the things that they tell you in case of an emergency is that an oxygen mask will drop down in front of your face and that you'll place it over your nose and your mouth. But one of the most important parts of this instruction is that if you're traveling with a child, you must attend to yourself first and then your child. And this is important because if your child loses consciousness, they are still breathing. However, If you lose consciousness, you won't be able to help your child. So even if you help them before you pass out, you won't be there for what comes next. So in this analogy, it is a perfect depiction of when we try to take care of everyone else and we put everyone else's needs before our own, and we prioritize everyone and everything else instead of our self-care, we will burn out, and we won't be good to anyone, not even ourselves. And I just really love that analogy. So what exactly is self-care? Self-care takes place in so many different shapes and forms, and it looks different for everyone. Simply put, self-care just means taking care of yourself by taking the time to do things that you enjoy, and improving your health and well-being. Self-care activities or you do to maintain good health and improve your health and well-being. Many of these activities are things you already do as part of your daily routine. There are 6 areas of our lives that it's important for us to implement self-care activities, and these include physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, personal, and professional. And so if you could imagine with me again, a pie, and it's cut into 6 slices, and each of those slices is an area where we can implement self-care activities into our lives. And so each of those slices may not be the same size or require the same amount of self-care input, because one area of our life may be bigger, one area may be smaller, but it's still important that we do have self-care. And so what exactly are these self-care activities that I am talking about? I want to take some time to talk about specific activities for each of those 6 areas that I just mentioned that we can implement. Physical self-care activities, they look like enjoying some type of physical activity to alleviate the distress that you are facing, to maintain good health. So perhaps that would include eating healthy, exercising, proper sleep hygiene, preventative medical appointments, getting a massage, or taking a walk. Psychological self-care activities, these are activities that you can do to enhance your mind and to help you recharge or reset. They may look like taking time off from school or work. This can include therapy, journaling, drawing, painting, learning something new. And so they just help you with that boost that you need to really reset. Emotional self-care activities include buying yourself a present, cuddling with your pet, offering yourself love and positive affirmations or self-compassion, watching a funny movie. And my favorite thing about self-care is that there's no box or limit that we have to put them into or that we have to fit in. It can be whatever you enjoy or whatever works best for you. Spiritual self-care activities include meditating, praying, setting aside time to think and reflect, participating in a cause that is important to you, enjoying nature, singing, dancing, yoga, or finding community. Personal self-care includes self-reflecting, making a vision board, getting coffee with a friend, relaxing, writing writing a poem maybe, spending time with family or a pet, cooking dinner, or participating in a hobby. And hobbies are endless. And lastly, my favorite category of self-care includes professional. And this includes taking time for lunch. This is so important. Setting boundaries at work, leaving work at work, taking mental health days, learning to say no, taking vacation, and taking off when you're sick. So those are the 6 categories and some activities that we can include for each of those categories, and the possibilities are endless. There's more than what I listed, and you can always Google. There are lists online that you can find as well if any of the ones that I mentioned don't interest you. There are so many. There are already things that you do that are self-care. They are just meant to help improve your health and your well-being. But one assumption of healthcare or self-care is that it's selfish because we're putting our needs before the needs of others. And while it may feel that way, ultimately we can't help others until we help ourselves. And so it's important to make self-care a priority. We will always find other things to do, but your needs are as important as anyone else's. So generally, just a good rule of thumb, the higher the level of stress, the less likely we are to implement self-care activities. However, the higher the level of stress is, the more important it is that we do implement self-care. So go take 5 minutes of your day and do some self-care. Your body is going to thank you for it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.